Oh, I wasn't paying attention. My bad.
Oh, you okay?
All right, there it is. Oh, you just speaker? You don't want. Hold on, let me do co-host. There you go.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. All right.
It didn't change it on. Oh, yeah, it just did it. Okay.
All right. Hey, Big Papa.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm well. Hope you are too on this lovely evening.
Yes, it is Friday, June 27th of 2025.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute
Uh,
since we've gone live. Life be life.
yes, life. So happy June, everyone. In our last stream, I definitely mentioned Happy Pride Month to the gays. June is Men's um Mental Health Month. So shout out to those who are getting therapy, getting ready to get into therapy, or reaching out to your PCP for some type of assistance with your mental health. And then also this month is Father's Day was this month, right?
Yep.
So happy Father's Day to the fathers out there, and we ain't talking about baby daddies. We talking about
Nope.
fathers.
Okay.
So the ones that are in their child's life. So shout out to fathers out there in the listening space.
Yes, indeed.
So a lot has happened since our last time.
Yes, a lot has conspired. um, we've had weeks of events and things of that nature, but I figure we could go ahead and talk right about what happened today
Okay.
with the ruling that the judges had with, basically they overturned the decision where um, basically the lower court judges were able to block a lot of those executive orders that Trump had, including the birthright citizenship one.
Mm-hmm.
So those were all overturned, and now basically birthright citizenship is on the table of being axed. But it goes back to it's tied into the 14th Amendment, which that's what birthright citizenship was for, which were the children of slaves. But it has kind of been one of those things where people who are in the country illegally have been able to have children, and then those children are citizens, and now all of a sudden you got this thing where, oh my God, y'all are separating families. Okay, so anyways, that happened today.
Yes. So what happened was is the Supreme Court uh made a decision that lower courts is not able to rule on uh, birthright citizenship. So basically, only the highest court in the land can make that decision. And as of right now, as far as it being national, all 50 states and its territories, it doesn't work that way. It's going to be regional. So we will start seeing those changes in regional areas, whatever that may mean.
That's going to be
Um,
very interesting, I think, to see how they try to
yes.
do that.
And so just, I guess. the one thing that did shock me out of all of this was it was a black guy. Um, he got taken from ICE. And what his situation was is he was born on a U.S. base in Germany, and they basically told him that he is not an American because army bases that's not on U.S. soil is not considered to be America. So he
Wait,
has
when did that
been.
happen?
That happened today.
Hmm.
So he
Where is
see
he
if you
at
can pull
now?
that up. See
Wait,
if you
what was
can pull
that
that
called?
up. Yeah, he was born in a U.S. base in Germany, and ICE has detained him because they told him that any U.S. bases that aren't on U.S. soil is not considered um, America. So he is going to be deported to either um, back to Germany, or he's going to be deported to one of these other countries that the court has also ruled that Trump is able to send people to all of these different countries that they're not even from. So that has also been ruled in the courts that he does have the right to do that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well,
So, how are you able to pull that up? That
well,
article?
not that specific one, but I did find where being born on a U.S. military base outside the United States does not automatically grant U.S. citizenship.
Yes. This guy, he's like older. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Wait, I think I see it. Texas man born a U.S. soldier on U.S. Army base abroad deported. Is it a
Hmm.
Texas man? This Jermaine Thomas.
Yes. Yeah, that's him.
Okay, let me pull it up here.
Yep. It's saying 20 hours ago, so I guess that story dropped last night.
Okay, Texas born. Okay, so Texas man born to U.S. soldier on U.S. Army base. This is from Daily News, AustinChronicle.com. 10 years ago, Jermaine Thomas was at the center of a case brought to U.S. Supreme Court. Should a baby born U.S. citizen father deployed to a U.S. Army base in Germany have U.S. citizenship? Last week, Thomas was escorted onto a plane with his wrists and ankles shackled. He says he arrived in Jamaica, a country he'd never been to, a stateless man. I'm looking out the window on the plane, and I'm hoping the plane crashes and I die. Damn. Thomas has no citizenship according to court documents. He's not a citizen of Germany, where he was born in 1986, or of the United States, where his father served in the military for nearly 2 decades, or of his father's birth country of Jamaica, a place he'd never been. Interesting. Thomas doesn't remember Germany. He says he thinks his first memory was in Washington State, but he moved around so much in his military family that it was hard to keep track. He spent most of his life in Texas, much of it homeless and in and out of jail, he says. His parents divorced when he was too little to remember. His mother, a nurse, remarried to another man in the army. She had a thing for army men. They moved around a lot, and she and the stepfather had their own kids. Thomas says he struggled in a new family setup. Okay, he went to stay with his biological father in Florida. By then, his dad was retired. Um, Interesting. I want to know more about his mother because it says his father is from Jamaica. But from what I understand with this, the way that they're at least trying to do it, at least that's what they say they're trying to do. They're trying to make it to be where at least one of your parents has to be a citizen.
Well, I have the Yahoo News article here.
Hmm.
It's saying a man born to an active duty member of the United States military on an army base in Germany in 1986 before coming to the States as a child was deported last week to Jamaica, a country he's never been to, according to a report by the Austin Chronicle, Jermaine Thomas, who's Jamaican, um, born dad, became a U.S. citizen during the 18-year military career. So last time I checked, you can't serve in the military without going through the process to become an American. So, um,
But apparently you can.
spent much of his early life, yeah, like you said. Um, and so let's go down here. It's unclear when exactly Thomas was first ordered to leave the country, but court records from 2015 show a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court, in which the U.S. Department of Justice argued that he was not a citizen simply because he was born on a U.S. Army base
Mm,
in Germany,
okay.
which is very interesting because how many children have been moved, families have been moved to certain bases out of the country. I've heard that story a bunch of times where people are born in different countries on U.S. bases and they've always been considered U.S. citizens. So
But that's why I
if
want to know
this,
who his mom is, because I can understand that if how his dad was not a citizen and in the army is very interesting. But was his mom also not a citizen? Is that like what it was? you know?
mm,
Because if that's the case, was his mother also from Jamaica? Like, why can't you send him to the country that his mother was from then? If that's what y'all doing, I don't know. The whole thing seems a little strange. I don't think we're getting
I mean,
the whole
but
picture on that.
yeah. So if you're out there and you're born on an American basis, not on U.S. soil, I would definitely be
Make sure you
cautious
know who
and be
your parents
aware.
are. Was your parents citizens or
Um,
not?
because clearly, even
Oh man.
if your parent becomes a U.S. Army or any one of the military branches in America, that uh, doesn't count anymore. They
Well, apparently it never
served in the
counted.
military for another country, a country that they don't even belong to, and now whatever work that they did do overseas doesn't mean shit, and your U.S. citizenship can at this point be granted. Then I also saw
Well, he was
a
never a
video.
citizen, so
Well,
apparently that's the thing.
you can't be in the military without taking the steps to become a U.S. citizen. So he didn't come over here and just. I mean, his father didn't just come over here and cross the border illegally and didn't take the proper steps to
No,
become an
I'm not
American citizen.
right. No, but yeah, no, I'm
So,
not saying that he was like that. He crossed the border or something. Like he probably had some sort of visa or something. You know, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the citizenship, which that's what this is all about now, right? So, from what I understand, like I said, at least one of your parents has to be a U.S. citizen in order for that to work out, which goes back to what was his mother. Somebody had to birth him, right? Like, we're only talking about his father. How can we talk about his mother? That's
mhm.
why I said we're not getting the full story here.
Yeah, it's just showing that she remarried and had
exactly.
um children outside of that relationship with his father.
And folks, that's
So
why you
yeah,
get the full picture here at Truth, Power, and Perspectives, because we're gonna turn the rocks over and see what's underneath that rock and ask questions. Because at the end of the day, as you see, we read from two different news sources, and both of them left out that very critical uh, piece of information about his mother. So I think that's very
so
important.
the other video that I saw today, it was a um Iranian guy,
Hmm.
and I guess it was an Iranian girl. They were somewhere here in America,
Hmm.
and ICE basically came up to the both of them and started to arrest the girl. I guess the girl, she started freaking out and stuff, and they were arresting her. And the guy was yelling on her behalf and saying, you know what they do.
Hmm.
Y'all shouldn't touch her. She needs help. She needs this. She
Hmm.
needs that.
Hmm.
And so Ice told him uh that it don't matter your status. It don't matter anymore what if you a citizen of America or not. If ICE deems that if the US government deems that you ain't supposed to be here, they gonna collect you up and send you where they think you supposed to be at.
But the thing is, they
And
can't do that to citizens though. Like if you a citizen, where the hell are they gonna send
mhm,
you to?
right.
So
But
they'll
how many
probably
stories
hold
have we
you.
heard?
Yeah, they'll hold you, but then they'll let your ass go because they can't send you nowhere.
Yeah. So
Like
I would definitely.
this
Hi, FL.
situation.
Thank you for coming in and being a listener. We really appreciate it. We see you there.
Thank you. So yeah, like as far as this dude here, he was
Hmm.
really stateless. Like he had no place whatsoever that he could call home. It seems. I don't know. It's
Hmm.
very different than like you grabbing up a U.S. citizen. You find out they have their citizenship. You can't send them nowhere. They're not stateless like this man was stateless.
Hmm.
You know. Uh,
So yeah, it's gonna be um
I think
quite
it'll be
interesting
interesting.
to see. I know that I forgot if it was Alabama or Mississippi that is going to enact like a program where people can become like bounty men or bounty
Hmm.
women to collect up illegals,
Hmm.
and as they turn them in, that they would get some type of cash reward for that. So I don't know if that has already started in either one of those states,
Hmm.
but it will be interesting, because we already know, well, I know that there is a minimum amount of immigrants that they must collect of every day, which is
Hmm.
3,000 a day. So,
Mm.
so that right there, when you're being told that you must collect up 3,000 people a day as a quota, I don't know if that's first state or the United States as a whole. Trying to meet that quote once you start running out of people to collect up. I wonder how that will change.
Well, obviously they're
And
going
as
for
we
the
know,
brown people
it's
first.
26, huh?
Obviously they're going for the brown people first.
Right. So that I think they said it's either 25 or 26 million immigrants has been led into the United States.
That's
So
probably
once that,
undercounted.
huh?
If I had to guess, that's a number that's extremely undercounted.
Yeah, and so once that number starts to dwindle down, um, with that quota change, that's soon to be noted. But
Mm.
I did thought that it was interesting that Trump is referring it back to that the law was meant for the slaves, children of
Yeah.
slaves, and so that makes me question if he is uh, going to is he open to reparations, because it just seems that he recognizes that slaves were brought here,
Hmm.
and he recognizes that we are US citizens. Now will we get to the point of reparations? That will be the question that hasn't been answered yet.
Well, that's
So
that's where it's going to be important for Black America, specifically descendants of slaves, to really hold the line and continue to put our foot on these folks' necks till they cut the check. Period.
All right.
Don't let up
And
off us, family.
I would also say I know that some of us out here that we still want to do what is it, 23andMe, all of
Yeah.
those things where you are swapping your cheeks and sending your DNA off to those I don't know if you all know this, but when you put your name and your information into those systems, that has open access to the police, open access to the US government. Anyone can, not anyone, but with like court documents
Hmm.
subpoenaing it, they can go into those databases and see what your makeup is.
Hmm.
So that could also come into play with this, that if they are seeing your makeup and your makeup is not um of African diaspora, that could play a major part in some things too, I believe. I mean,
Yeah.
they're already using those databases to solve cases that has ran cold,
Hmm.
and they are able to catch people from DNA matches.
Hmm.
So it will be quite interesting to see um, if those play a part in determining if you are a citizen or not. But my question is Trump's wife is an immigrant. All of his children is immigrants. So if we're gonna do birthright citizenship, then we should do it right for everybody. Because in my opinion, um, a lot of people will tell you that their parents came here from, Germany, or came here from uh uh Poland, or wherever, Russia,
Hmm.
wherever. Those type of people where they know their line, they know where their people came from.
Hmm.
I feel like they should be under the same guidelines and rules, because we're not seeing white people getting kicked out.
But I don't think
We're
they're gonna do
seeing,
it retroactively. I think just like one of those things going forward. You know.
yeah, well, that's what the big thing is up in the air too, like you said, retroactive.
Hmm.
It Are they gonna get to the point where it's like, well, less retroactive, uh all these people that's been here 40 plus years. So it's when you have a king in office that the Supreme Court is allowing him to pretty much do whatever he wants to do, the stopping point. There is no stopping point. So it's going to be up to him and what he feels like that day to determine who is in his eyes able to be here. But as of right now, at this current state, it seems like white folks are okay to be here. If you look white, you all right. And if you're black, you gonna be okay, if you unless you come in with some type of accent. Then that might be an issue for you.
I feel like there's about to be a whole lot of 90 Day Fiancé going about
Mm-hmm.
international because that's going to be the other workaround, right? Like you just marry a U.S. citizen and that's your, you know, straight to go card or something.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of marriage, that brought something else up for me. Did you hear about the VA that they're thinking about, even if you are a disabled veteran and you're at 100%, that they don't have to give you care if you identify as a Democrat, if you're not married, or if you, it's something else, don't have any children or something. And
Hmm.
so they can it's per state, state rules whatever the VA wants to do in that state,
Hmm.
but that will be a part of the rules going forward at the VA, that if you aren't married, if you are registered as a Democrat, and if you don't have any children, then they have the right to refuse services, whether you're at 100% in disability or you're at 30 or 0.
Is that real?
So, hmm?
Is that real? Were they going to, just because of how you
Yeah,
registered to
look,
vote?
Google it up.
Just because
Go
of
look
how
it
you
up.
registered to vote, they gonna come after you for that.
What I'm saying is that it depends on what the VA wants to do. You know, it's per state. So
Hmm.
whatever the VA wants to do in that area. So in these red states,
Hmm.
that could very well happen that they don't
Oh,
want
so
you
we
to.
that's a hypothetical. So we ain't. That's not real.
Yeah, well, that
Right.
is
That's
a
what I said.
hypothetical, but
That's what that
it
can't be
is
real.
per state.
Okay.
That will
They
be
not
per
gonna do
state.
that. That's the no, no. They no. Okay. All right. Next thing. uh, New York had a primary election this last week,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
apparently they're going to be voting for Eric Adams, some Republican, and now the Democrat that won the primary is this dude who's not even been in the country for a decade yet.
Mandami,
Whatever.
that you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah. I don't know. New York, man, if y'all vote for this person, you deserve whatever happens to you. That's
So
all I
if
got to
you
say
were
about that.
if you were a New York resident, who would you? Because you know the way they do it is you vote like 1 through 5, and you put your top choices either as 1, 2, or 5. Would you
God,
have
that's
put
so terrible.
Would you have voted for Kumo or
I'll vote for Eric
Eric?
Adams.
Okay, and why
Yeah.
is that?
Well, I mean, I know that that whole case against him was bullshit.
Hmm.
Um, but obviously New Yorkers think otherwise. They have other thoughts, I guess, about like how the economy is going. But I mean, there was a lot going on with that. That goes back to the whole immigrant situation where the Democrats left Eric Adams out to dry on his own while they were the ones that allowed all of these people into the country illegally and they got sent to places like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, California, places like that. And you know what? It costs those cities, those blue cities, it costs those taxpayers a lot of money because those immigrants got resources that they weren't even giving U.S. citizens. You had people freezing on the subway and stuff because they didn't have places to stay that were citizens, and you have these illegals that were getting holed up in hotels and food stamp cards and shit. So meanwhile, New Yorkers and the taxpayers were paying for that. So yeah, Eric Adams got a real bad rep for that, but that's a result of the Democrats, which is why he's no longer a Democrat. He's left the party, and they threw him under the bus and stuff like that. Um, I think if they, again, that this dude ain't even been in the country for 10 years. I think you got to be in the country a little bit longer than that before you can talk about being the mayor of New York freaking city. Like, it's New York City, and you want to be the mayor of New York. You ain't been in the country for 10. You ain't even been in. I think he's been in the country for 7 years. Is what I saw. It, that doesn't even make sense. That sounds like some kind of like you a foreign asset type shit.
Hmm.
Something out of a spy novel where you rose to power and now you just now you the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country. That's also a target. I
Hmm.
just think it's foolish if those people go that way. I think it would be really dumb if they vote for that dude. Like I said, they deserve whatever happens to them if they do. That's just my thoughts, though.
Yeah, he was born in Uganda.
Right? The fuck? I mean, excuse me. That's crazy. That is bananas. And they're just all. I mean, okay, I get it. He's. Oh, I heard my thing.
Huh?
He's anti-establishment. The establishment does not want that man to win. I get it. That is appealing, but at the same time, you don't know who you're giving the country or your city over to.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think somebody like him can make a lot of promises and they ain't gonna be able to deliver on shit.
yeah. Well, one of his parents is an American, the other parent is Ugandan.
But he ain't been here.
Well, we can that can go back to what we were talking about at the top of the show.
Yeah. Which again, that is part of the reason why they got rid of birthright citizenship is because you have people that are from China, from Russia, from India, from wherever the hell they are from, that they call them like birthing vacations. Basically, they only come to America just to poop out a kid so that they can get U.S. citizenship, and then they go fly back to their country.
His family moved to New York City at the age of 7, and he's 33 now.
But he must have been traveling back or something. I don't know.
I'm just reading his like his
His bio or
uh
something.
yeah, his bio, but not on his thing. It's on these articles that are doing articles on his background.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but they're
well,
saying that Republicans are calling to probe into his citizenship. And he has recently been getting racist attacks and calls on his life for to kill him. Um, so
I wonder where
they
those are coming
are,
from. Probably the Democrats that don't want him to run at all. That's a Democrat. Because all
yeah.
of the Democrats, the well-known Democrats, they endorse Cuomo, and he
Well, I
looks.
think they saw, yeah, they were supporting They said that Cuomo had like the black vote in New York, but when AOC endorsed Mandani, that's where it split between the two of them.
Hmm. Yeah, they like some AOC up there. That weirdo. Anyways, what else been going on in the news? Um.
Well, we can talk about Iran if you want.
Oh yeah, the bomb, the
Mhm.
12-day war. Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, it was all a show. The world is a stage. What else?
Yeah, I think that we wasted a lot of money and resources for bullshit. I think that exactly what the reports are saying, that he didn't really stop anything. He may have slowed it down a couple of months.
Hmm.
And how much that Hexeth and anyone else that was a part of that attack
Mm.
on Iran, how defensive they are about the whole thing,
Hmm.
lets you know that they are trying to show aggressiveness to stop people from asking questions.
Mm.
But from what I saw, the pictures, it didn't look like they did that much damage to me. But he's telling people to go and dig up the area, and you'll be able to see where they destroyed all of the what is it? I want to say vibranium, but I know that's Black Panther, right?
Uranium. Uranium.
Oh, uranium.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so, but I saw someone say that uranium is so small that it could fit in your pocket, and you don't need that much uranium to create a bomb. So, it, now whether they have piles and piles of uranium, I don't even know what it looked like or how it can be moved from one place to another. But it is true. You get online and you start talking about what you're gonna do, I just the puzzles don't add up to me. Which is you get online, you first of all, VV had already set up the scene to begin with. He had already done convinced all them folks over there in Israel that they've been creating a bomb since the 1980s.
Mhm.
I mean, creating an atom nuclear weapon since
Mhm.
1980. So the Israeli people already believe what the hell he's saying to begin with, and so all
And
he had
really
to do was
quickly,
find a find,
sorry,
huh?
I just want to say really quickly about that. The
Hmm.
way that when all of that stuff was going on, when they were exchanging bombs, did you know that they weren't allowed to leave the country? That they
Who
had to
wasn't
stay there? The Israelis. Basically,
the
they were
bombings
cannon
from
fodder
where?
from Iran when they was getting bombed from Iran when they were bombing each
Oh,
other.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So basically, it was gonna be like, okay, well, if they get killed, then they would that would be like reason to escalate this shit further. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
They use them as cannon
Um.
fodder.
So what I was saying was, Vivi already got the people of Israel believing that Iran is creating these nuclear weapons,
Hmm.
and all he needed was a president that if you whisper something in his ear, he fucking believes it. So
Well, I think that would have happened either way because Kamala and Joe Biden were always going to be giving support to Israel no matter what. That's where I was saying it didn't matter who you voted for in this last election. Israel was still going to get weapons in
but do
regards to
you
that
think
conflict.
that Joe Biden or Kamala would have went through with bombing Iran?
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely,
Okay.
because they I, I don't know how it would have looked, but if Israel told them to do it, they would have done it. That's how the relationship has been going and how it was shown to be going when Joe Biden was in charge. He would say one thing about how Israel was doing the most with blowing up Gaza, but yet and still continue to send weapons and give them money to Israel so that they can continue their genocide. So, and Kamala said on the campaign trail that she wasn't going to do anything different than what Joe Biden was doing. So, for that reason, no, I don't think that anything different would have happened if Israel told the United States, "Hey, we need you to do X, Y, and Z." No matter who was in charge, because they're beholden to Israel, they would have done it.
Uh-huh. Well, um, so due to all of that exchange, Trump did start posting on social media, on True Social, that he was going to figure out about the bombings within 2 weeks, which, in my opinion, gave Iran the heads up to move their shit out the way.
That was exactly that.
And
That was part of it. That was the whole
and
purpose of that was to let them know, hey, this is coming. Because I think
yeah,
even our last broadcast, we did briefly talk about the 2 week thing.
yeah, and so Iran did just that. Collected their things up and moved it to God
Hmm.
knows where, somewhere in Iran. And the whole mission did occur where they were using, what are they called, stealth
Stealth
bombers? What
bombers,
are they?
yeah, yeah, stealth
Okay,
bombers.
so yeah, so they had a certain amount of stealth bombers moved to, well, they flew into Guam as a distraction, quote unquote, and then they had a different set of stealth bombers on their way to Iran to bomb them. So that included them fueling um, the stealth bombers midway. It was a 36-hour flight, I believe,
Hmm.
and you know. the bombing did occur. After that, news resources in Iran uh, told Trump that he started this and that Iran was going to finish it.
Hmm.
From there, we saw that Iran did respond with sending missiles to I think it's a U.S. base in Qatar.
Yeah, they were continuing the exchange with Israel, but then after the big bomb was dropped, yeah, they did send it to that U.S. base, and they just like the U.S. or Trump said the 2 weeks thing, they knew that they was about to bomb that base, so they evacuated the base. That's why nobody died.
Yeah. But Qatar has whatever systems in place that was able to um, end the bombs before they actually landed. So a lot of those bombs, there wasn't any damage, like you said.
Yeah, well, no,
But somehow,
it did damage them because they didn't get all of the missiles. It did damage the facility, but nobody was there because they knew
okay.
Iran told them, "Hey, that's what we." Again, that's why I said this whole thing is a show. It's a show.
Uh-huh.
If you look on IMDb, all of these people have an IMDb page. They actors.
Yeah. And so that occurred, and then what happened? Some type of ceasefire deal came out with
Allegedly.
allegedly that Trump is saying that. Well, of course, Trump had
Yeah.
a after that whole situation occurred. Trump spoke to the nation with his secretaries in the background as props,
Hmm.
and he thanked God and thanked Israel and all these other places. The same man that didn't even want to hold the Bible, the same man that when he did hold the Bible, it was upside down. So and then after that announcement, of course, we saw in the news more information on the bombings of what I, summarized earlier for
Hmm.
everybody. Um, and then somehow a ceasefire came along.
Hmm.
That Trump says that he made them stop bombing each other, Israel
Hmm.
and Iran.
Hmm.
But beneath it all, it's sounding like it was really VB doing all the work.
Hmm.
So just from what I've seen this week, Hegseth was explaining more, I guess, talking more about the attack and what it has done to Iran. And of course, the news was asking him because they said they obliterated the place and that they caused major damage and that Iran was set back this much. And uh Hegseth was basically his response to that is why are we questioning what work was already done, that our focus should be on the men and women who you know actually did the bombings and did a 36-hour flight, and be thankful that they were able to do fly the stealth bombers through the different bombings that they did, and that the conversation shouldn't be about what they did or didn't do in Iran. It should be about the American soldiers and everything that they did uh, to show how powerful America is.
Hmm.
So like you said, I think that whole thing, like you said, it's like a fucking movie. The whole
Hmm.
thing is like a movie. And like I said before, well, you and I talked in a private conversation that I don't think it had anything to do with that. I believe it had to do with that petroleum, the gas, whatever they got over there in Iran. It's got something to do with that.
Yeah.
China's pipeline, I forgot what it's called, but China has a pipeline that connects with Iran and Canada and Germany and Russia, all of those places. And we have seen Putin and who was it? Putin was in a car with, was it the Chinese or was it North Korea? You
I
remember
know.
that?
Oh, you mean a long time ago? It's probably North Korea
Yeah.
that you're talking about.
Okay. But China is trying to get control over um the gas line. They don't want to have to continue to go through America
Hmm.
because look at what they got to deal with to get it. And on the other hand of all of that is Israel is trying to create a pipeline with Dubai and Iran and America. So
Called
that
the
pipeline is
blessing.
still, huh?
BB calls it the blessing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so in order to stop China from building that pipeline, there needed to be some type of a war to stop the building because you can't build a pipeline while there's a war going on.
And you know,
And you
I was
go
just gonna
ahead.
say really quick. And you know, when I saw like that blessing and curse map that BB put up, like God, I guess it's been a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was shortly after the war started in um, uh, Israel.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I guess it's been yeah. Anyways, when I saw
It
that,
was October
yeah,
of
October
last year,
7th. No, 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 2023. Was it 2023 or 2024?
2024, I believe.
Oh yeah, it was.
Hmm.
So when did I see that then? Was that before? Yeah, it was after. So, anyways, whatever. When I saw him put up that map of that line basically to through Saudi Arabia and stuff, I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, this is a big ass land project. This is a land grab. It's about the
Right.
land and energy and shit. Like it's all about money and resources. And you killing a whole bunch of people to do it, and using America to do that, and that's where it's infuriating.
Hmm.
But go ahead.
You're right. And all of it's just all about greed is what it is.
Yeah.
And so um yeah, that's what's going on with the Iran conflict. I guess at this point now there's a ceasefire in place where nobody's bombing anyone. Is that right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So another story that I've been hearing about is this system that they're trying to put in place to um, scan our facial. I sent it to you on Instagram,
Mm.
and it's got to do with, it's all connected with what Elon was getting with when he got everybody's social security numbers and stuff. I think the system is called Delani. Anyway, it's four people who is working under that whole system has just been moved up into a position that like it takes people years to get to that position.
Hmm.
And so I think RFK talked about that too. That I think it was in his last hearing that he was saying that within the next 2 to 4 years that he wants everyone to wear like smartwatches to monitor how much we're walking, to monitor what we're eating, how long we're sleeping, and I guess that's to keep track of, I guess, the American health. But really, all of that is connected to that identity system that they're trying to put in place to be able to keep track of everybody. Have you heard that?
No, this is first I'm hearing it.
Um, Let me see if I can send that to you.
But that's probably one of those things where I mean they've already had. I think it's was it Palantir. That's one of those things that he's invested in as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. That
Okay.
Palantir. That's it.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I have heard of that. So that one they like yeah, they there's going to be some interesting things they have planned for that apparently. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, not really. But they've already been doing this kind of surveillance bullshit anyways. But I guess it's going like more digital, more in your face.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the big thing, that there is going to be a surveillance system, and a part of that surveillance system was the data piece, and that data piece came from when Elon went into the system and grabbed up all of our information.
Hmm.
So from that point, that surveillance piece is gonna be able to connect our identities to when we use the phone to, go into the airport, and when we go to the airport, how they scan your face and that thing,
Oh yeah.
all of that is gonna be connected.
Mm. Well, that's why I said they're already doing it. So it's just gonna be more
Hmm.
mainstream. Because I remember when I went through the thing and I was like, oh, I ain't have to scan nothing. It just had my face. I was like, oh shit.
Yep. Hmm.
I was like, oh damn, here we are. They done got my whole profile.
But they were saying that you can opt out of that, but if you opt out of it, and let's say you're rushing for a flight, they put you in a different line where they take you through the normal process. They use your, I think you have to have like your passport and your ID, and they'll use that to get you through the system. But you can opt out of your face at this point. You can opt out of getting your face scanned, but you'll be moved into a different line away from the TSA scanners, and it'll probably take an extra 10 to 15 minutes for them to get you through and pass you through without your face being scanned. So
Hmm.
you can opt out of that.
Okay, well, hey, I'm all about convenience. Y'all already
Hmm.
know who I am. They already got my fingerprints. There's not
Hell,
much your boy can
they
do.
got my fingerprints too. So
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's not much your boy can do. So I mean, look,
so
the real estate commission knows where I lay my head at night.
mhm. So would
I
you be
yeah,
okay with wearing a? I mean, we wear Apple watches now, but
exactly.
if it was a government mandated watch that you had to wear, or a wearable band that you had to wear to do anything, would you wear it?
I mean, if I had to, yeah. Because if I had to do it to wear it to do anything with it, I ain't gonna be able to do shit without it. Then, huh? That's the mark of the damn beast. Here we are.
Right, but they're saying that also, not only not only that surveillance system, but they were talking about how all of that is connected to that thing that Elon implanted in that person, in that guy's brain.
Oh, that Neuralink.
Yeah, the Neuralink thing. They saying all of that's connected.
Mm. Yeah. Now, see, when you start talking about implanting, that's where
Uh,
I'm gonna definitely cross the line. See, some I could just easily take off or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. Or like I can leave it somewhere, sure. But where it's gonna be permanently attached and embedded inside of me. No, that's
right.
where I cross the line. Like, nah.
No, I think that that's, way ahead of time. Like
But they're obviously working on it.
years out. Maybe the next 3 generations after they forget about this Neuralink shit, it's gonna be after you born, and they gonna take you and implant it in you,
They just
and
gonna do it right from the. We ain't even playing with
yep.
y'all. We just gonna go ahead and start tagging you right out the
Yep,
womb.
right then and there. I mean, they already tag you when you come out the pussy. They stamp your fucking feet.
Well, and they give you a
They stamp
social.
your feet when you are born.
And they give you a social security number.
and they give you your corporate ID number. So
Oh man.
ain't no fucking different.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's really no different. It's just more up to date, I suppose. Like it's the new method of doing what they've already been doing already. They just gonna be more accurate with the shit. I don't know. But I mean, it's not like we didn't know that this was coming. Those
Hmm.
that read the Bible and such, we've been known this was coming. How long have we heard from our old folks? We are living in the end times.
We've been living in the end times since World War I. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Look, when the end times gonna come? Because they've been here for a long time, Chad.
Hmm. Since the damn Holocaust.
Oh man. Well, hey,
And
the
even
end.
before then.
I'm about to
Whatever was
say
before that.
yes, yes, way
Whatever
before
was before that one. It was the Civil War has been the end of times.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's pretty much that's yeah. I have to agree with that.
So, if you're scared, go to church. That's what they say.
Mm. He
Um,
said, "You scared? Go to church."
if you're scared, go to church. That's the saying.
Mm,
And find your peace with your maker.
mm, 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 mm.
So we can talk about the Diddy trial if you want.
Yeah, I heard that that's about to wrap up, and they're like on their last little bit of arguing or something, or like
Yeah,
I
well,
think they're gonna send it to the jury on Monday, is what I saw
yeah.
last.
What happens is and I saw this online today that
Mm-hmm.
they'll send it to the jury. The judge has to read something to them, and it's 40 pages, so they have to read that, and then the jury makes a decision. Normally it's always one person who either is against it or not, whatever, but the estimate is they believe maybe an answer will come down. They're saying that all of that reading and stuff is probably going to happen over the weekend, like tomorrow, and on Monday they'll probably come to a decision. Do I think that he's going to uh every charge? No.
No, I think he's gonna walk.
I know I don't think he's going to walk, but I don't think he's going to serve every charge, and I don't think
Well, they
that
dropped a
he
lot of
is
the
going to
charges.
serve 10 plus years. No.
No, and that's the thing. The prosecution has dropped a lot of the charges that they had originally, you know,
Hmm.
and the whole case was based on some nonsense. I mean, it seemed like she was just a huge freak. She was the one. It was they was all freaky people, and he had a drug problem. Is that a crime? No. Now him, hitting up on the girl Cassie in the hallway, but that's not what this case is about. If that's what the case would have been about, then that would have probably had more legs than what they have here, in my opinion.
Right. Well, we do know that for a fact, that yes, he did have a drug problem, but he was pushing weight. He was pushing weight. That's very clear because of the bug that they had, that white boy that they had. Um, the white boy was moving around like the body oils and stuff, and apparently those body oils had what some type of chemical in them that would numb the like a woman's lining or the man's penis. It would numb that, so you could keep going and going and going and going and going.
Was it illegal
And
though?
huh?
Was it illegal though?
The chemical that they put in it,
Yes.
I'm sure it is a drug, but regardless, the that pink powder that Diddy was getting the prostitutes to sell, and Young and May, I mean not Young and May, but Young Miami
Hmm.
was ahead of those prostitutes, and they were pushing that pink powder. That white boy, he was also a part of that whole drug setup with that pink powder. So I
Well, where
think
they
that
at?
huh?
Where they at? Are
The
they
white
sitting
boy was in
trial?
the trial,
I mean,
and
are
Young
they in jail?
Miami, I think who?
The white boy in Young Miami and all these other people
The
that
white
just
boy
did it.
is he took a plea deal because he had to frame Diddy.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was working, they got him first,
Mhm.
and he, so that he wouldn't have to go to jail or go to
Mhm.
prison or got a plea deal or whatever.
Mhm.
He was to report with mics and all of that shit about the moving of the drugs and like the sex parties and stuff. So that white boy, he was also working with those prostitutes that were selling stuff. But you know, most of the time the people who sell don't get in trouble. It's the kingpin that gets in trouble.
Mhm.
So, you know, we have to see. But do I think that he's going to get off scot free? No. Do I think he's going to serve maybe 2 to 5 years? Yes. But when he get out, if I had anything to do with those circles, I would vacate. I would get the furthest away from him as I could because he gonna be just like Trump, coming for retribution, honey.
Well, I would say at the end of the day, right? This is
Hmm.
one of those what they call humiliation rituals that they put the elite through, specifically rich black men. Basically, it's they just doing it to humiliate this person. Again, it's no secret what Diddy's been doing all these years. Now all of a sudden, I mean, they gave the key to New York to him a year before all of this stuff came up. So,
Hmm.
and now all of a sudden, you know, bam, this case. So it
Well,
just
I
goes
mean,
back to like this whole thing being just a show.
right. And so, in combination with that, a
Hmm.
different black man of popularity, we can talk about the Tyler Perry allegations
Yeah.
that came out. I don't believe that that's true. Looking at the text messages that I saw, didn't look like it was. It seemed like it was two adults doing adult things. Of course, the question always comes up if Tyler Perry is gay or not, or his identity. But at the end of the day, I don't think that his sexuality, how he chooses to identify, is his business.
Hmm.
He has made his mark here on earth, and as far as what I was seeing in those text messages that I read between their conversation, now that don't mean that that's true. I can put your name as Tyler Perry in my phone
Hmm.
and screenshot our conversations and say that Tyler Perry did it.
Hmm.
You know, so we would have to see how that plays out. You
Yeah.
know, but I don't believe that whatever this man is alleging that Tyler Perry did, I don't believe it if they're trying to use the text messages to show that something happened. So no, I don't think that that's true. But in combination with that, then we also see Fat Joe,
Hmm.
the guy that's not black but been making money off of black folks his entire music career.
Hmm.
You know, his thing came up too about one of his bodyguards and
Yeah.
all of these sexual acts that Fat Joe has done.
That's crazy. I don't believe that one either.
So and you know, Fat Joe is fighting that case.
And I'm not a Fat Joe
um
stan or anything like that. Like I think Fat Joe
mhm.
can go suck a fat one, but yeah, that whole thing sounded just like cap.
All right, so you know that's what we're seeing right now is
Hmm.
um these uh like you said, an embarrassment, and all we can do is just wait on the verdicts to come out, and when the time comes for us to do a new podcast, we
Yeah.
will try to remember to report that here for you guys.
Hmm.
Did you want to talk about that Javari case that I had sent you with that guy that got killed?
Oh yeah.
I don't really know too much about it, but something happened where he was murdered and he was complying with the police. He didn't have any weapons or anything on him, but he ended up getting murdered. He was like top of his class in high school. He was in college. Apparently, him and his friends got pulled over by the police, and they were all asked to get out of the car. And somehow Javari was murdered.
Mm. Yeah.
So
And there's only one witness apparently, and yeah,
yeah,
that's the friend who was there.
so yeah, so these things are still going on out here in these streets, and black men are definitely under attack. I believe I said um in the last podcast that I was saying that black women were under attack, but I think more this month with this podcast, um, it seems like there's a huge magnifying glass on black men and black men of success. So I just find that very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's black folks as a whole right now are we're what am I trying to say? We are a topic of constant discussion by all groups. If you
Mm-hmm.
remember, you had these ICE protests, and they were saying, "Oh my gosh, where are the black people at?"
Mm-hmm.
They're always
Oh
worried about
yeah,
what we're
yeah,
doing. You know, they this last election, what? How are the black people going to vote? Eh, They're so concerned about what it is Black America is going to do, but yet and still they despise us and try to do everything in their power to destroy what it is that we do. But they just can't help themselves but to always be up in the mix and in our spaces.
yeah.
I need to know
And
who's in
that
charge. Sorry.
because you brought that up, it just made me think about the other thing we didn't talk about, which was the Trump parade
Oh.
and what a failure that
You mean the
was.
protest
Um,
parade that the people were doing
yeah.
that didn't want to be
And
there?
so, for you all who don't know, Trump had a parade to quote unquote celebrate the military.
I think it was the
Um,
250th birthday or anniversary of the army, was it?
yeah, I think so. So he had a lot of tanks and
There were squeaky
um,
there were squeaky
diff-
tanks.
yeah, squeaky tanks. There was army platoons marching. They do believe that um, the platoons that were in the parade, the ones who were actually soldiers and not actors, they
Hmm.
were marching off step, which is not something that you do in the military.
Yeah.
And so that was their silent way of uh I guess protesting the whole situation, even though they had to be there.
Hmm.
There it was projected that 250,000 people was there, but only 10,000 people showed up. The secretaries that were there in government was falling asleep. Trump fell asleep.
Mm.
And on the other end of that was protests all over the United States, in Mexico, and in Canada. The No Kings protests. There was some counter protests. I know there was some violence that went on during that. I heard about some violence in Charlotte, um, and maybe two other places where there was some police conflict. But overall, I think that the No Kings protest did um, did sound the alarm that America isn't happy, but you know, we are. It's too late for America to show now that y'all wasn't happy with the decision that was made. Because I guarantee you, all of those people who was out protesting No
Hmm.
King's Weekend, what percentage of them voted in the opposition?
Mm.
So I just it still, even though you're showing to the world that this isn't what the majority of Americans want, um, that's not making a difference in the White House.
Nope.
It's not making a difference at the Senate, and it ain't making a difference at the House. So it goes back into our same conversation that we always say: is protesting even worth it? Is is having your voice heard worth it? Because it's not changing anything. I mean, it's not changing the how people of other races are being treated in this country. Per the last story that we just said about Javari, it's not changing immigrants not being kicked out. Per the birthright citizenship thing that passed today. Per anybody else is being kicked out and sent to countries that they not even a part of. It's not changing any type of rules or laws because our president doesn't give a fuck. Okay, and but that's what he ran on, and he said that he was going to do just this.
Hmm.
So is spending your Saturday sweating and yelling and screaming and walking down the street uh going to start any change in America? No, it's not. Not when you have a king sitting in the highest office of the land.
But a big papa, I think it's a little bit more than that. And so when you have these quote unquote protests and they're so well organized, is it really a protest? I don't think
What do
so.
you? Well, what would it be?
It's a well organized event, is what it is. And what I'm saying is, were there any demands? You know, if you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
out there protesting, like you said, in the hot sun, yelling, screaming, you got to have some demands. If you're going to be out there, you got to be out there till the job is done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's hard to do in one planned day. So I think this protest was designed to do exactly what it was, give people an outlet, and then they go back to work on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of going back to work, do you think that we have um too many federal holidays?
I wish we had more. No, I don't think we have enough.
I only ask that because that has been a topic in like MAGA culture that you know there's too many um, federal holidays.
Hmm.
That when this whole federal holiday thing came up, it was two, and now it's 11,
Mm.
and the MAGA is uh, concerned that it's not really a federal holiday if people aren't celebrating what it's actually for, and that it's America's losing money on you know 8 out of the 11 days.
Okay.
And my thing is this is that it would be different if we worked, well, if y'all worked a, a 4-day work week like they do in France, you know?
Hmm.
But it's not a 4-day work week to survive here in America. I saw a poll that in North Carolina, the minimum salary to survive in North Carolina is 92,000.
Yeah.
So if we were on a 4-day work week, and on top of that we had 11 federal holidays, which bumps you down to a 3 day week, a 3 day work week, yes, I can see where there's 4 whole days of no money being made, you know?
Hmm.
But it's not that. It's almost everyone is working 6 to 7 days a week to survive just to keep a roof over your head.
Yeah.
And having one day off is not going to make or break the system that in everyone's views America got all the money. You know,
Hmm.
America's a money making machine
Hmm.
if it's worked the right way. And so I don't get where MAGA feels as though that people aren't working. And a lot of the MAGA culture that believes that there's too many federal holidays are people who are retired. You know, those people who didn't have to work but only 5 days a week to survive. And you have a nice 401k and you're sitting at home talking a whole bunch of shit instead of being out here at your old age busting your back down to keep a roof over your head, gas in your car, and food on your table.
Well, you know what it is. Unfortunately, a lot of those people fall victim to, and I say fall victim, but they believe that, what do you say? They shoot themselves in the foot, right? They
Hmm.
they listen to these people that aren't like them. So they like Donald Trump. Donald Trump has got more money than they do, but they follow him, thinking that I, he can't. He don't like them, but they will follow him. So I'm saying that to say these people that are saying that kind of stuff, they're
Hmm.
listening to these rich assholes who own these companies who are complaining that they have to
Right.
pay their workers um, for these days. That's where they feel like they're losing money because they got those office buildings that they pay for that they want people to drive into every fucking day, and then they got to pay them for those holidays that they ain't getting nothing out of these workers. So it's those people that these lower classes listen to and believe that, oh well, if we take on this mindset then we'll be like them too. I guess I don't know, but
But I
that's what they
mean,
listening
even
to.
if you don't work on a holiday, if you work the day before or the day after, you still getting holiday pay. So it's like you still are working. You're getting paid for the day off.
That's the problem. They don't want to pay people. They don't want to pay people a livable wage to begin with, let alone giving them, quote unquote, giving them money
Uh-huh.
on days that they're not really working. That
Right.
kills the capitalists. They hate shit like that. They
Uh-huh.
don't want to, if they're not making money, that is against their religion. If they handing out money and not getting anything out of it, that is against their religion. That's why you see so many of these companies doing this crap where they're like, especially these trucking companies, where they basically, you're an employee of theirs, but they have you as an independent contractor, and if your truck goes down, well then that's just you. They ain't got nothing to do with that, but they making all the
Yeah, I
money.
can. Yeah, I can verify that.
So
That
it's the same.
basically the truck the trucking company, not you as an independent contractor, but the trucking company is your um like your
They
they
send
give
you
you
out
loads.
the
Yeah,
assignments,
they
yeah.
dispatch you.
Hmm.
They're your dispatchers.
Hmm.
But when shit go wrong with either the load or your truck, then you high and dry.
They don't have to pay you no PTO. They ain't got to give you no benefits. They ain't got to do none of that. See, that's the model that these rich assholes want to go to, even in corporate. That's where you notice there's so many. Look at Uber, Lyft, Door, all that stuff. You independent contractors, okay? If something happens to your car, they ain't got to do nothing. they they just say,
Mhm,
okay, well, turn your app back on when your car working, or you got you another one.
mhm, mhm,
So, and at the end of the day, they make all the money because they're the public company. They have people buying their stock. They have shareholders that are going to make sure that they get paid. So, any little bit of money that they have to put out where they're not getting a kind of return on it kills
Mhm.
them. And
Mhm.
so that's where these people listen to these folks like that, and then they pass on that message not knowing that, okay, well, you're also hurting your grandchildren who have to work in this environment, your children that still are working in this environment. They're going to be working to the bone and not be able to afford a damn thing.
Right.
So yeah.
So July 4th is coming up next week.
Yes. Another holiday.
Um,
Federal
yeah,
holiday.
another federal holiday. That's why I brought that whole thing up.
Oh,
um,
but there was a situation here in North Carolina about
mhm.
Juneteenth where the black lady was in the car shop. Did you remember seeing that? And
Mm-mm.
the white people in the shop were saying, "What's Juneteenth?" And it was just they were real ignorant. It was somewhere up there in the mountains. And
Mm.
the sister, she got up. She said, "Bring my truck back around. I'm going somewhere else." And so that
Yeah.
went viral. And that's what black family. That's what you're supposed to do. You got to hit these fools in their pockets. Don't give these people your business. Don't spend money with these people when they openly disrespecting our culture and our holidays and things that we have in remembrance to us.
Mm-hmm. And you'll
And then they
definitely see
try to
that a
mock
lot
us.
in these small town cities that has dealerships in them.
Yeah, where this old good old boy small, and
Mm-hmm.
now the place is trying to explain and say, oh well, they didn't know what the holiday was and all this, that, and the third. Well, if you don't know, look it up on your phone. Your phone's right there in front of you. All you gotta do is you ain't gotta type. You can talk to your phone now. You can say, what is Juneteenth? And Siri or Google, it will tell you everything that's whitewashed, but it'll tell you enough to where you can know what it is without looking stupid like these people do.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
and now, and now you got to say, oh well, uh, yeah, my employees just didn't know. They just didn't. I'm training them on these things. Yeah, okay. So see, this is where this whole conversation about DEI and about making sure that you all know about shit, because this is exactly what it was talking about. Because you all sit there, you only have your own kind, you don't know nothing about nobody else, and then but it's okay. You'll end up losing business in the long run because this is going to start happening more and more. She let the family know what the hell you supposed to do when you get disrespected. Do not spend your money with these people. That is the only language they
Mm-hmm.
understand is money. That is it. We
Yep.
cannot continue to support these people's businesses when they do this kind of stuff, y'all. So yeah, more power to that sister. Thank you.
Um, so I know I may be going to a family reunion
Oh,
for July 4th, or I may just um hang out at the
well,
house.
that's nice. I like a
Uh
family reunion. You should go to that. I would think you should go to
mm, I don't know, it's hot
that.
and I
I
ain't
hear
trying
you.
to mm-mm.
Well, hopefully it's
But
inside.
it's supposed to be at a, I mean, we're live, so I can't say where it's
Right,
gonna
right,
be at,
right, right,
but
right.
it's, I think it's gonna be a mixture of
Indoor and outdoor.
inside and outside, but I think a lot of it's gonna be outside, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Um, kudos to those people who is okay with doing that. Um,
Yes, indeed.
I think that if you're gonna be out here shooting fireworks, you guys please be safe.
Mm. Yes,
Don't
indeed.
go blowing up your mama's house because you don't know what you're doing.
Oh man.
Uh, in North Carolina, is very known for people to go to South Carolina to get the good fireworks
Hmm.
and come back here and light them up. But
Light it up.
all I can say is be safe. I hope y'all enjoy your 4th of July, which is meant to signify what, our independence. Is that right?
Yes, that is the Independence Day of the United States. When the
Mm-hmm.
United States got its independence from Britain or whatever, Revolutionary War stuff, yeah. But
Yes.
we ain't free, so hey, turn up.
That's it.
But yeah,
That's it.
oh yeah. Oh man.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, you wanna
Um,
close us out? All hearts and minds is clear.
yes, all hearts and mind is clear. Please follow us here on the TPP podcast. We are live streaming here on X. Are we on YouTube as well?
Yes, we are on YouTube live streaming as well.
If you are on our YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and like this video and share it out to others who are on the same wavelength as us.
Correct.
If you are against the wavelength that we have, comment down below. We would love to battle you in the comments.
Or you can come on the live and we'll duke it out. We've talked with white supremacists and suspected white supremacists before and knocked them down.
Yes,
Come on
yes.
over.
If you definitely we're on Instagram, we are also on TikTok. So all you gotta do is just put in TPP podcast. We should pop up there.
Shoot,
So
I need to get that
follow
group
us
shit
on
going on
all of our
Insta.
socials. I'm Vic Papa. You can follow me at Mimi the Great on all of my socials.
And I'm Jay. This podcast is also sponsored by J Jordan Deluxe Realty LLC. We are on all social media platforms. Just Google J Jordan Deluxe Realty. We're Googleable. And yeah,
And yeah, so until next time.
until next time, peace.
Bye. Bye.